All right, so it is March 27th, and I thought I should do a little bit of an update here. I've got most of the bulkheads all done, at least bulkheads that I wanted to get done. Obviously, you know, the bathroom will need to be framed in here, and you know, bulkheads in here. But these are relatively small bulkheads, and I should be able to get the panels in here without too many problems. The bulkheads up here in this crash bulkhead, they aren't really attached. You know, I just got a couple screws and then a clamp up there. The reason for that is I got to get in there to work inside there yet, so there's no sense in fixing those permanently just yet. And then both the bulkheads around the engine room are done, and I pretty much finished putting the insulation in. I got a little strip to do up there, but I thought I'd wait with that until I get my companionway cut out and whatnot. And I put a couple pieces of plywood up in here. I put a 2x4 down along there, and then use some heavy screws to go through here into the plywood to hold it in there, so I can mount things in there. That'll be probably the fuel and fuel filters and manifolds and whatnot in there. Still not exactly sure what I want to do about a day tank. Yeah, I don't know where that day tank's gonna go for sure yet, but if I put it up on deck, it'd be nice to gravity feed the day tank down to the engine, just cause. So up on deck would be handy. I think I'll probably have room, you know, for it. That would put it back aft there, you know, 2 feet beyond this this beam here, this deck beam. But that wouldn't be just too terrible far to run a line in and then down and into the engine. I'll put something up here too, because this will probably be the put a piece of plywood in here too, but that'll be for water system and probably some on one side on the bottom, and probably electrical up above it. But anyway, yeah, I got all this insulation in, got this done on this side. I don't know, I thought about whether I should tape these seams or not, but I don't really need a vapor barrier here, I don't think. So I don't know if there'd be much advantage to taping those. But I was just thinking, well, now I can probably start planking. But another thought occurred to me, and that's going to be back here. If I start planking, I really probably should get my plywood sheathing on this transom first. God, I was hoping to, by the time I was buying a lot of plywood, plywood prices would be getting lower, but that may just never happen again. Yeah. So, and I was also hoping to wait, you know, with doing anything back here until summer rolled around. We got a little more humidity in the air, and in this this wood back here stabilized, because it shrunk and cracked a bit over the winter. Once the plywood is on there, it's going to stabilize it regardless, but I just thought, well, it's going to have more moisture in it when it gets out in the ocean or wherever it is on the water. But yeah, I don't know. I suppose I could start planking, and then, but you really want the planks to run to the edge of the, you know, beyond the transom, and then you can just cut them off flush with the transom. I guess I could let them run out and then fit the pattern and fit the wood. Yeah, that would work. You know, make patterns and then fit the plywood in with the planking running beyond the end here, and then cut the planking off. Yeah. it's going to get wrapped in fiberglass cloth too, and been thinking about that too. And you know, the sides of the boat, I think I'm going to be able to drape cloth along the sides of the boat. It's just not that much angle there. I think I could get the cloth to lay at least over most of the boat pretty adequately, even though it's obviously it's canted in the sides. It's just not that steep, and I think the epoxy itself might be gooey enough that it would hold in place, and you could put it on in strips up there. But this stuff down here is going to be a real bear, because this is such a steep angle trying to get, you know, fiberglass up under there. You know, man, that's going to be tough. So what George thought might be a good idea, and he'd never done it, but he thought it might be a good idea, would be to put the cloth on the plywood first, then attach the plywood, and then of course once you screwed it on, you'd have to fill all those holes in. But then you could put tape over the seams. That's a little more fuss when you put the tape on there. If you want to make it look nice and smooth, then you really got to feather that tape out. And I've done that before, that other boat that I built, and it's a bit of work in and of itself, but probably be easier to do it that way, at least on the bottom here, than it would be to try to get, I don't know how you get cloth up there. I even thought about using some spray adhesive, you know, putting some spray adhesive on there and then just using a roller to, you know, to saturate with epoxy. I don't know how much that spray adhesive would inhibit the epoxy's ability to soak into the wood, though. I guess I could do some tests on that, because that would probably work. My guess is that would be adequate. But God, you'd hate to have that epoxy, or that the epoxy not bite into the plywood, and then 6 months down the road it starts, you know, falling off in sheets, which could happen if that, you know, that spray adhesive, that spray contact glue inhibits the epoxy's ability to bite into the wood. Don't know. You know, when you're doing epoxy in wood, you've got one shot at getting, you know, the epoxy saturated into new wood, and once that's gone, it's gone. You could sand down deep enough to get through the epoxy layer, but you wouldn't want to do a whole boat that way. Well, yeah, I guess we're going to have to do the whole boat that way anyway, but at some point. But the other thing is, I don't know. Initially, I'm going to plank up. I'm not going to do the bottom initially. I want to leave this open so I can work in here. So the bottom planking will be about the last thing that goes on the boat or in the boat. And I've been having second thoughts about my gray water tank too. I was going to put this 65 gallon tank up here, kind of where it's sitting, and then build my counters and stuff around it, and put my gray water tank up there. But I've been thinking about that, and I think I'd be better off putting a gray water tank, smaller gray water tank down here, and then I can just gravity feed the drains into it. Because I'm going to have a sink here somewhere, right here, and then the toilet and the toilet will have a drain from the urine catch part of it into the gray water tank, and then a sink up there in the bathroom, and then put another one back here in the aft cabin bathroom head, what have you. So I'd have to put another gray water tank back here somewhere. I don't know. There isn't just a whole lot of room back here either. Not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. I might just have to put a sump back here, a small sump under the shower, and have the sink drain into that, and then have that sump pump to the other gray water tank up forward, which isn't ideal, but that would work. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm still it got this situation here where I need to get access to this bearing here and the seal, and the shaft seal there. You know, you can get at it from in here, but it's not going to necessarily be easy. You got this, you know, this distance between the floor and this frame for the sole here, and then depending on how this whole assembly, the thrust bearing needs to go in here. Depending on how that all works out, that's going to kind of be in the way a little bit too. So it's not going to be real easy to reach in there, but it would be possible to reach in there and do it. But what I really wanted was to cut an access hatch right above it here, but that's right where the shower stall I wanted to put it. So I've been contemplating and debating that too. So we'll see how that goes. And I don't know if I should, ouch, that was my head. That big hard thunk you heard there. And I'm not sure what to do here either. If I should put some insulation in here, try to keep the engine room sound from coming back up into the aft cabin. If I should insulate under here, I don't know. Probably wouldn't hurt anything if I've got some extra insulation to put it under there, or if I should try to close this off, you know, seal this area up. Might be a better idea. I don't know. I got my limber holes in here, if you can see that or not. And I'm going to need to do something up here. I haven't put any limber holes up here. I mean, most of this isn't that far in the water, but I suppose you still need to have limber holes. And I don't know how you're supposed to drain some of these areas. I mean, like where this floor is. I mean, how do you drain those? Of course, this is going to be a compartment back here, a big lazarette. But it's going to need to be drained somehow. I suppose one would have to put a bilge pump in right here. This is going to be the lowest point. Yeah. I don't know. So many things I don't know. But, so, then I've got this 65-gallon tank up here without a home. If I don't use it up there as a gray water tank. So, I was thinking maybe I could put it back here, put it in this, build a, you know, place for it back here, because you're really not going to want to come all the way down here anyway. Put a little deck in there and build a floor or a sole up above it and have that tank down below there. Now you really don't want that much weight back here, but if you're doing a long passage and you think you might, you know, need some extra water, you could always take that tank and fill it and just use it first. You'd have to have a pump back there and then run a line up forward to a manifold, which, like I said, is going to go in up here. But yeah, that's maybe what I'll do with that 65-gallon tank. Give me a little more fresh water. Other than that, things are going, you know, slowly, but they're going fine. And again, if I start planking now, this is going to be the outside edge of the chine. This is the chine edge, so the planks will start here and then go up, of course. So I'm going to have to start working on getting all this stuff. And, of course, up here I'm going to have to start cutting out my rabbit. You know, that's the rabbit here. I haven't decided for sure how I'm going to do that yet either. I did cut this initial rabbit, you know, line here, or that's the bearding line? No, that's the, yeah. Bearding line's the one inside. But anyway, I got that one cut, but then I need to cut into it, the right angle into it, so as these boards come down, they'll come down from here and into a notch here. That doesn't look nearly wide enough, does it? I have a feeling that's going to have to be cut in a lot taller than what we're seeing here. Huh. Wonder why I didn't take that into account. Well, that's not going to work either because my frames are going to come down here. I got a screw up here, I think. Well, I can always cut these. This needs to be cut back anyway, but that's something new that I hadn't thought about, I guess. It just doesn't look to me like if you run a board from here, a 1.5, well actually it's going to be 2 inches by the time you get the plywood on there. There's no way that's going to lay into that notch. See what I'm saying? This is a lot more of this is going to have to come out. But if I do that, then a whole lot of this is going to have to come out too on the frames. Yeah, you might have a funny looking boat up here in the bow. I don't know. Oh, yeah. You know, once you've built one, you'd be a lot better off the next time around, but don't anticipate ever building another one. Yeah, my guess is I probably drew this out based on, you know, here are midships. And you can see how much easier this is going to have, you know, a 2x is going to have to slip into there. And I drew that out to scale back when I was doing that. But that's going to change up here dramatically. I wonder what it's going to be like back here. Yeah, back here it's still pretty steep, so that shouldn't be an issue. And what we're talking about is, you know, the angle here is fairly steep, so it's going to go in there pretty easily. But up at the bow, my. What are we going to do about that? And it's not going to probably be a problem until you start getting, you know, not station. Well, what do we got here? This is 4, 6, about station 6 or 8 there is where it's going to start being an issue, I think. Yeah. Well, I don't need to sit here and contemplate that on camera the whole time, but anyway, that's where we are. So you might see planking starting here very shortly, which is good.